I had already read the book when I heard about the project. I read it in my book club. There's only 2 of us in the book club.
Book club. You never mentioned the book club.
There's 3 of us. I mean, 2 other people besides myself.
Sounds great.
Yes, I had read it and loved it, and then when I heard Sarah was directing it, I emailed her kind of incessantly. I wasn't like shocked by it. Isn't that horrible?
No, I wasn't shocked by it either. I was really like, it's very traumatizing, like especially the article. It's a New York Times article, isn't it, that was written about it. When you read it, it's terrible. But then what's extraordinary is Miriam's book takes that story and turns it into sort of a fable, and Sarah kind of lent on that even more. Like, even though it is inspired by real events, it is very much a kind of story and a sort of parable, and the journey that these women go on. The script, I felt, was like nothing else I'd ever read, in the sense that it was a story from beginning to end. There wasn't a lot of kind of separate scenes with stage direction. It wasn't filled out like a lot of movies is, where it basically tells you what to think and feel when you read it. There was so much space in it, it felt. But also there was a lot of dialogue. And I even said to Sarah, I said, you know, this reads to me like a play. And she's really brave, I think, that she basically knew that you couldn't take the theoretical argument and also the personal argument of these women, like the conversation that they're having. You couldn't try and strip it back and make it just visual. It wouldn't work. It's basically about a group of people who've been oppressed. And I think there are lots of identifying factors in the whole film. And all of the characters are very distinct and have different approaches to the world that they live in. And I think that there are lots of moments where people from different communities or people who feel oppressed, or maybe not oppressed and never have been and never thought they were, can watch this film and identify a thought, a feeling, you know, that would kind of resonate with them. I hope that's the aim.
Also, we discuss it in the film of like, it's an education, you know, but that men and women have both learned and have been learning from elders or people at the top tier who've kind of, so that they can hold their position, have been like trickling down this education, which is kind of, and it's both men and women who need to unlearn things so they can learn something new.
Yeah, it's not about blame or retribution.
Do you remember like on our first week, it was like thunder, and lightning,
Oh my
and we were in
gosh.
the studio
4
where you
a.m.
could hear like the hail on the roof, and we were like, how are we going to film with
Corrugated
like,
iron roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Well, I
wasn't
actually
a
thought-
proper soundstage. It was in like a stadium. So, yeah, when it rained, and you could hear it everywhere.
I thought it was kind of interesting that, like, you know, we couldn't get out of there, like, for weeks. We had nothing but to kind of shuffle
tried to break out.
into the attic, talk
Shuffle.
for, like, non-stop. There was no getting away from, like, the conversation we had to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, life imitated art,
Yeah.
I felt.
She really put so much time and energy into like who was not just in that hayloft in terms of the actors, but like every crew member, every head of department. Like it was, she cultivated like such a group of people that made it possible for us to make this thing in a certain way that I hadn't worked with a female director in a long time. I think it had been like 10 years or something, and it was interesting, like just the subtle difference in energy.